like to change things up around here a little bit. I just wanted to recently, this very zealous young preacher, he recently came upon a farmer outside of Pegram, I think it was, out here. And the farmer was working in his field, and being a young, zealous preacher, and, he was very concerned about this farmer's soul. And so the preacher asked the man, he says, "Are you laboring in the vineyard of the Lord, my good man?" And not even looking at the preacher and continuing his work, the farmer said, "Nah, these here are soybeans." "You don't understand," said the preacher. "Are you a Christian?" With about the same amount of interest as he answered the last question, the farmer said, "Nope, my name is Jones. You must be looking for Jim Christian. He lives about a mile south of here." And the young, determined preacher tried again, asking the farmer, "Are you lost?" The farmer said, "Nah, I've lived here all my life." And the preacher was getting pretty frustrated by now. He was getting pretty frustrated. He wasn't making any ground with this farmer. And then he goes, "Are you prepared for the resurrection?" And this caught the farmer's interest. And he asked, "When's it going to be?" Thinking he had accomplished something now, the young preacher replied, "It could be today, tomorrow, or the next day." And taking a handkerchief from his back pocket, the farmer wiped his forehead. He said, "Well, don't mention it to my wife. She'll want to go all 3 days." I haven't told that one for a long time. I like it. Once again, good morning and happy Easter. This month our theme is Awakening to Transformation. And each one of us, individually and collectively as humankind, is spirit in motion. We are all spirit in motion. And we are ever and ever transforming. And this motion, this process of transforming, has 4 stages to it. And the 4 stages are dissolving, imagining, reforming, and flying. And they occur in an ever-ascending spiral upward. And when one cycle ends, another cycle begins. But each time for us, we are affirming that it happens at a higher and a higher level of awareness. So before looking at our theme for today, which is the stage of dissolving, let's look for a moment at our overall theme, awakening to transformation. We are spirit in motion. We are being the transformation. And one of our center's core values is personal transformation. But what does it mean to transform? Transforming is more than just changing. It's more than just improving. It's more than just becoming a better, brighter version of what is right now. To transform is to become something or someone who up to this moment has not existed. The dictionary defines transform as to change a thing into another, or to change from one form or another to another. Now, spiritually, we know that there is nothing for us to change into, nothing for us to become, because we are already divine, right? We are already a perfect expression of God. So let me give you a cone, not an ice cream cone, though that would be nice. But a cone, K-O-A-N. Does anybody know what a cone is? It's a seemingly paradoxical statement used in Zen Buddhism to meditate upon in order to be enlightened. It's kind of a spiritual brain teaser, if you will. And here's our cone for today. Transformation is the process of becoming that which you already are. It's kind of deep, but a cone's supposed to keep you engaged in your mind. Let me say that again. Transforming is the process of becoming that which you already are. So we already are God in expression, whole, complete, and perfect spiritually. This is the truth. And at the same time, on the human plane of existence, those of us who are awake, those of us who are on the evolutionary path, and I know each one of us here is one of those people, are in the process of removing anything that blocks that perfect expression. And I heard it said once that enlightenment is not about adding anything. It's about elimination, subtraction. I love that. It's about getting anything that's in the way of our realization of our oneness and of our divine perfection, our spiritual magnificence. And I love the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson about this same thing. He says, we need to get our bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuits. Oh, the divine circus, too. You know, we've been witnessing that these days, the divine circus, but the divine circuits. We are in the process of transformation of ourselves and transformation of humanity. And we've evolved from being merely interested in spiritual growth to being interested in transformation. Jesus wasn't just interested in spiritual growth. He wanted to transform, and that's what the Easter story is all about. To let go of the human and to rise above, to transcend, to transform, to be resurrected, to be born again into a higher consciousness, a more abundant life. We all want a more abundant life. We want more love in our lives. We want a greater purpose. We want a greater health. And we all want more money, right? A more prosperous life. So also in this process of transformation, of becoming someone entirely new that has not existed before, but which already exists in the one mind of God, because the one mind of God is infinite possibility, something must first happen. And that something is dissolving. Just as the earth breaks apart in order for the flowers to burst forth in the spring. Don't you just love spring? Sometimes our lives look like they're breaking apart as well. But are they? Or are they simply making room for something more beautiful to emerge? I had to stop by Kroger's this morning and get some. I was told these weren't Easter lilies, though. I guess I need to know a little bit more about flowers, but I thought they looked really pretty, but. So that's why I call the message today, are you falling apart or are you falling together? Now, you all have given me so much love and support these last few months as my life has seemingly fell apart. And I know that you all can affirm in your own experience that that's what it feels like. It feels like it's falling apart. That's how it appears, and it's true on the human plane. Forms appear and forms disappear. or dissolve. You witnessed mine, and you were participants in the seeming falling apart of our center's foundation when Reverend Diane left. A dissolution of what was the Music City Center for Spiritual Living. And you know, when I reflect back upon my life, all of my moments of significant transformation started with a dissolving. My turning to new thought occurred because I literally dissolved into a puddle of brokenness when I finally admitted that I was powerless over alcohol. And this dissolving of my ego took me on a journey of self-discovery, which I've spoken about before, which led me to a rediscovery of my spiritual nature. That I'm already spiritual. I'm already whole, complete, and perfect. Which led me to a transformation of the most major kind. I transformed from a honky-tonk hero into a preacher. And I surprised a lot of my old people from the back in those old days, but the person that was most shocked with this transformation was myself. And I still have to, is this really, how did this happen? And I know that now, with Reverend Diane and I split, that I'm on a new path of transformation. And I know that our community, MCCSL, is also on a new path of transformation, a greater expression of good, a more abundant life and community. Can you feel that? I can. So I want to begin our discussion of dissolving with a modern-day parable. So bear with me. It's a parable of a goldfish which lived in a goldfish bowl in the bedroom of a little girl. And he swam and he swam, and then he would swim the other way in the goldfish bowl. That was his life. Swimming one way and then the other. And, of course, getting fed once a day. And that was it. That was his life. And one day he thought to himself, geez, this is not a very exciting life. I think I'm meant to do more than this. And he had not a clue what it was that he was going to do, but he was very dissatisfied with his cute little goldfish life. And while he was feeling dissatisfied with his little goldfish life, the little girl who owned him was feeling dissatisfied with having a fish. She wanted a pet that she could play with and cuddle, and that would run and greet her when she came home and lick her face. She wanted a dog. So she started it on her parents. Can I have a dog, please? Please, please, I want a dog, please. Please, can I have a dog? And they always said, no, you have a fish. Parents like fish. They're a good pet. Parents like them because they're not very much trouble. So they told her, you can only have one pet, and you have your fish, and that is good, and that is enough. So, the little girl wanted a dog so badly that one night she thought, well, if Mom says I can only have one pet, and I already have a fish, well, maybe it's time for the fish to take a walk. So in the middle of the night, she got up and she took her goldfish bowl into the bathroom and she lifted the lid on the toilet seat and quietly dumped her fish into the toilet. Now the fish is wondering, what in the world is going on now? He'd never experienced anything like this before. The rush of water going into another bunch of water. And then all of a sudden there was this big noise and he started to swirl downward very quickly, and he went through these pipes really fast, and he was really scared, and he couldn't imagine what is going on. All he knew was that he'd better hang on tight. And so down he went into the pipes, and then into this place that's not very pleasant at all. It's yucky. It's stinky. And he doesn't know what to do, but he knows his job is to swim. So that's what he does. He keeps swimming. He swims and he thinks, maybe if I just keep swimming, I'll get out of this horrible place. So he swims, although it's really very hard to swim because it's kind of thick and yucky. But he's working really hard. And he's working really hard and he's praying, please get me out of this. Please get me out of this. I can't stand it. But he just keeps swimming. Every now and then he gets really tired, so he takes a nap, but he wakes up and he's still there. Darn! So he keeps swimming. And as he swims through this stuff, his little fins begin to develop muscle that he doesn't realize he's developing. And he swims and swims through the yucky stuff, and he gets stronger and stronger. There's more than one time, though, that he just says, forget it, I give up. I can't do this anymore. But something in him says, no, 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 keep swimming, keep swimming. So he continues to swim. He doesn't know for how long, but he knows he's been swimming for a long, long time. And he begins to think all of a sudden that there's some fresh water coming in. Some water that's treated with something. And this yuckiness that he's been experiencing for so long is lessening a little bit. And this fresh water keeps coming in, and it may be treated with something that's coming in on him, that he's going through. Pretty soon, it's less and less yucky. And then he's into this pool of pretty nice water. And then all of a sudden, he gets sucked through another tube and sent out into the biggest, freshest bowl of water that he has ever experienced in his life. It's called the ocean. And there he was in the ocean. As he looked at his little fish self, he thought, I'm not the same fish I was before. And it's true, he wasn't. In fact, he had transformed into a dolphin. There he was, a magnificent being, a dolphin, free in the ocean, jumping and playing. He had never felt so alive. It was magnificent. And then he looked over at the shore and he saw a little girl, and he thought to himself, I know that little girl. And at first he was very angry at her for what she had done to him. But then he thought, wait a minute. If she hadn't done whatever she did, I wouldn't be here now in the ocean, a dolphin. So he swam over to the shore and he beckoned her over with his dolphin call. And she jumped on his back and off they went, playing in the ocean. The end. Or the beginning. Maybe it's the beginning. Yeah, it's not the end. The process of dissolving can really stink. Can I get a witness? It can be challenging, no doubt about it. We all have been there. It is, or should I say, we can make it the most difficult stage of our evolutionary process. It can be the scariest one of all. But we have to, as Don Henley and the Eagles sang, just get over it. Get over it. The theologian Matthew Fox said that in order to pick up anything new, we must let go of what we're holding on to. And I know that Val sent me a note in the mail last week. I love it. First, she gave me a smiley face and told me she loved me. She sent me this note. It says, as I look back on my life, I realize that every time I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better. Transformation. Thank you, Val. That really warmed my heart and lifted my spirit. I want to tell you, thank you very much. I love you too. But so often we struggle with not wanting to let go of what we're holding on to because we don't want to go through the stinky, scary times, right? Sometimes we must even liquefy into a puddle before we can be transformed. Did you know that the caterpillar doesn't change into the butterfly? I know Reverend Franklin knows this. He doesn't go into the cocoon and sprout little wings and shorten his body and suck in his multitude of legs. Inside the cocoon, the caterpillar is reduced to a puddle of goo, a glob of DNA. And it's out of that puddle of goo that the butterfly arises. Anyone ever feel like a puddle of goo? We all have. And here's a really important concept to grasp as we experience this stage called dissolving. It is until it isn't. Say that with me. It is until it isn't. Become aware of when the it is no longer. Stay present to the process of your dissolving, whether you like it or not. And don't argue with the past or worry about the future. The more you resist this, the more painful that your dissolving or your dissolution is. What we resist persists. It is until it isn't. Or you could say, it was and now it ain't no more. It's my Southern. I learned Southern when I moved to Nashville. When you say, I accept what is for now, the pain of dissolving doesn't last for long. When you say, I accept what is for now, you let go of your resistance in that moment. I know that the last few months that I've spent a lot of moments in a state of denial, a state of disbelief, resisting the acceptance of what has taken place in my life the last few months. But I called Diane this week, Reverend Diane, and for the first time since I found out what was going on, and I told her what I needed. And I started to practice moving on, as Gregory Fisher spoke so eloquently of last week. I know a lot of you were here for that. I began to let go of this resistance, of this denial, and right now in this moment, I accept what is for now. Check with me later, but when you say, I accept what is for now, the pain of dissolution doesn't last as long because you let go of your resistance to it. So say with me, I accept what is for now. I accept what is for now. And then add this, I am more than this. God is more than this. It reminds me of what I heard about what creates a diamond. It's the intense heat and pressure on the coal that creates the diamond. Like the song goes, I'm just an old chunk of coal, but I'm going to be a diamond someday. We all are diamonds in the one mind of God right here and right now. We are shining our spiritual magnificence. It is the truth. And so, as you go through your dissolving stage, and although your stage will not be anything like anybody else's, remember that it's a necessary stage in the evolution of your transformation, of you becoming that which you already are, which has never existed here in this plane before. And when you realize this, then embody these words of our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, in The Science of Mind. Stay with the one and never deviate from it. Never leave it for a moment. Nothing else can equal this attitude. Remember, all the power in the universe is with you. Feel it, know it, then act as if it were true. You're not depending on a reed shaken by the wind, but on the principle of life itself for all that you have or ever shall need. It is not some power or even a great power. It is all power, and it's the power on which we can depend. To desert this truth in the hour of need, the hour of our dissolving, is to prove that we do not know the truth. When things look the worst, that is the supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions to the operation of truth. When things look the worst is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. The person who can throw himself with a complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. That's what Jesus the Christ demonstrated to the world. And on that other side of dissolving is the flying. And we'll continue this process when I speak next in a few weeks. Next week, Reverend Lynn will be speaking. So I leave you with, once again, Happy Easter, happy transformation, and so it is.